This meeting is called back to order at 8:15. No decision or vote was taken while in closed session. 3D, consider and take action of items. Consider and take possible action regarding approving the reclassification of Business Partnership Coordinator, Executive Director of Judson Education Foundation, Director of Governmental, Community, and Judson Education Foundation Relations, and a respective budget amendment for staffing allocations. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion second. Discussion? I don't know if this thing works, folks. I didn't turn it on. Anybody? Mr. Salinas?
The one in the red is the one that is going to be the official one, right?
No.
That's what was lined out.
That was,
What was lined
Now,
out?
There's some of them that are scratched up.
yeah, well, I think the draft, it goes from that one into the draft. I was trying to read back and forth on it.
I think it's the last one.
What, well, on one of them, where
What
it
did
says
it say?
experience. It says experience, 5 years in government, community, or business partnership. Has this been advertised already?
No, we wanted to see if the board approved it, and then we'll put it out and see who applies. So it hadn't been advertised yet.
Okay, well, so Richard says no.
What?
The red one
You're
is,
saying no.
why did we get the red one?
Oh, yeah, it's, the red one
Okay, there was
carries
someone who
over on
said
the
that
draft, I think.
they would be in charge of,
I think it's the one in the back, Mr.
Yeah,
Salinas.
I see it.
Yeah, got it.
it
Yeah.
said that, it said there that they're gonna be in charge also of voting,
They're gonna help
in
us,
charge of the voting
Yeah.
procedures for the board.
they're gonna help us in that area because it crosses over to governmental stuff and activities and that type of
And they're
thing.
also in charge, they've always been in charge of the United Way campaign?
Yes?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Let me see, one more, sir. Oh, well, on one of them says that they would include travel out of town and or overnight as required throughout the year. That means that goes with her budget or his
Yeah,
budget,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It would be like any cabinet member that
okay,
goes to a
okay,
conference or a meeting, or it's the same model.
Okay, then, that's it.
I want to quick one.
I got
Mr.
something to say too.
Oh,
I was looking at the, how this isn't working,
That
at
one-
the salary, and then when I looked back at the responsibilities, it is to me, a step and a half more than what we were getting done before.
Correct.
And I think that, you know, growing the way we are, getting some governmental expertise, you know, what we're asking for, I think it really helps push us forward. You know, I think Ms. Reyna did a good job as what she was doing, but she never took us beyond, you know, where we need to talk to legislators, where we need to have that information. So, you know, I don't have a problem with that salary. Thank you.
Mr. LaFoil?
Gilbert, if you look at her job description, it was never in her job description.
I understand that.
Well, I mean, you can't judge her on that, not doing that, when it wasn't in her job description. And I think putting that in a job description and giving them $73,598.40, 44-cent raise is outrageous. It's really, you go over $100,000. You're going from 29 to 100,000. Huh?
The $29,000 raise.
$9,000 increase.
It's
It's not 75,000.
Let me read in here and see if I'm right or wrong. It says right here,
That's the total budgeted.
Director made $29,228.40.
No,
Analyzed total salary with benefits is $102,000 now.
correct, with benefits.
It says annual additional costs for the reclassification of previous position to director is 29,000.
Now, that's the annual, that's what she's
Annual-
getting now?
No,
Or that's
no.
what she's going to
That is
get?
the increase, the annualized.
I still
rate
don't
is gonna
believe
be
that.
102.
I'm gonna say the same thing I did before. We're getting top-heavy in administrators.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Dr. Montoya, I saw a lot of repeated duties and responsibilities where it's got major responsibilities and duties. Many of these have been repeated, just said a different way. I don't understand why.
The red one is no good, ma'am. I just asked. It has to be the draft, the black copy.
Yeah,
Right.
the black is the correct.
Yeah, I looked at that too, but then,
Well, where does it say? Let's see. I read something about fundraising, needing to be,
I will, members of the board, I will tell you that this type of position, we are one of the fourth largest districts in the county, and the other districts have similar positions because of the way they utilize them in different ways to help the district. So it's not a unique request for Judson in any way.
Okay.
It's also for creating sustained business fundraising events.
Okay, so I see it now. I don't know, I guess it just seems to me, isn't fundraising going to be one of their major, marketing and fundraising going to be one of their major things they do?
It'll be one part of several, yes, that's one part.
I'm just wondering why there wasn't more emphasis put on it. It seems like it should be at the beginning of the job description rather than way down at the bottom, because fundraising is what they'll be doing all.
No, and they'll be doing that for sure. I mean, that's part of it, but
Like here.
it goes way beyond that in terms
You
of
want it to be the first
activities and what they can do to help
instead
the
of fourth
district.
one, right?
I still have a problem with adding the, I know you need to reclassify this position. I don't know about the salary increase. I'm done.
Anyone else? Mr. Macias?
Dr. Montoya, was there, I guess, you mentioned that we're the fourth largest district and that other districts have a similar position. You say similar, I mean, how similar? Is it the exact?
What they've done is they have a big role in going to Austin and trying to work with the legislators. I mean, the superintendent does that anyway, but this is a position that some of the districts are using in terms of going out and trying to work with local legislators, senators, and even going to Austin to try to find more money, to find more resources. And actually, it's for their district, but when they do that, it expands out to other districts. So
Is that something that we used to have, I believe, the grant writer position that would help, acquire funding sources for projects? And I think, didn't we eliminate that? I don't
See, and
know.
I don't know the history here
Yeah,
at all.
we
so
used
I
to
don't
have
know.
somebody
It's a
with
federal
that
funded-
sort of
It's
focus.
federally funded.
So, yeah, I guess you had a position, but it was at that time federally
Federally funded.
funded.
Funded, and then we
Yeah.
lost the funding on it.
Yeah.
So that's why.
And so that may have had some benefit. And then, of course, I just want to know if there had been an analysis of what those salaries were paying for the neighboring districts.
They're about similar. They're about similar. Because some of them, I think, if I remember, there's a district that called it assistant superintendent, but we didn't call it that. We called it basically director at a lower level. So
My concern is also tied to the salary. I do think the position sounds fine. I also wager that you could get somebody to do this at the same salary that it was before. And if, I do. But I'm going to say that my concern about this is that we've never tried to keep up with Northeast or Northside on salaries, and we say that every year when we do compensation because we're not as large as those districts. We identify this position. What we've seen typically is that we'll bring a certain level of experience, and they're going to be making top dollar. The individuals in these other districts typically have a vast amount of experience with governmental relations or whatever it might be. We have a tendency to nurture and grow in that capacity. And so I just, I'm concerned. I'm not saying that this could be a potential salary increase as we look at budget discussions coming up. The need to get this filled is urgent. We need
It's
somebody
urgent.
there. I just think the amount that you're asking for is just too high. And so that's where my concern is, especially when we get locked into that position. We have not even identified a candidate. We don't know what the other districts are paying. You're
Yeah.
pretty close, but
Yeah.
we don't know.
Plus, I think, to alleviate your concern on background, that's why we would, if you approved it, we post it, and let's just see who applies. As I said earlier, in that other position, we had 109 applicants, and that's good. You're better off, the more you have, the better, because then you can hopefully find, a group that might fit the descriptor of whatever's been posted.
Would we be able to include incentives in a position like this?
If the
The re-
board
the
would
re-
agree
the
to
reason-
that.
The reason
yeah.
I state that
Yeah.
is because I want a ROI. We start at the base salary, and we build in incentives to this because there is a sales component to it, which means, like the foundation grant writer we had, they had to raise X amount of dollars. If they have to create business partnerships with Rackspace and whatnot, there's also a return, and I assume some of it might be financial in terms of support, to build in a structure to compensate based on that, to
mean,
give that differential.
I think the concept is good, but again, we'd have to go through legal on some of that to see what companies would be willing to view it that way. The concept is good. You have a good concept, but there may be companies that say, look, we're gonna give the district this amount of money to do stuff with staff and kids, but we don't want it spent on an administrator. It's gotta be spent either in the classroom or teachers or whatever. So I don't know, I think that's where there'd be a little bit of we'd have to check area by area almost, or company by company or group by group.
And just like we found out at the last board meeting, that we actually have two buckets of funding. If you recall that $110,000 item that was in consent that I pulled and I asked, we have consulting dollars for 110, and then we have staffing dollars for 110. So, and we pick one, so the other 110 just stays in the books because it goes unfilled. I just think there's opportunity to garner funding for this.
And then again, folks, we could try it for a year. Let's see what happens. And if it works well, we continue it. If not, it ends.
I would ask the same question. We could fund the position at its current rate, see what we get. We don't, then we up it. At least then I can know that we gave it an opportunity to acquire the talent. I just have some concerns about the type of talent we'll get. If we took someone that's doing this at Northside and they came to work for Judson with this salary, that would be comparable because they have the
Yeah,
experience. I don't know what we would get.
And that's why if you folks approve it, we can see who applies. But you have a good point. We want to find the right person that has skill levels at a higher level. I mean, we don't need a secretary calling 5 companies, please give us 5 scholarships, or give us 100 tickets for our teachers, or whatever, because I hate to say it, folks.
Sure.
That's what I saw here for a year.
Sure.
We had a very nice person, but we were doing that. I mean, I didn't see beyond that anything happening, I mean, that's what I
Well,
observed on a daily basis.
And you'll have an opportunity, Superintendent, to look at the candidate that's put in place and to make sure that they have those skill sets that you're looking for. I still remain concerned. I mean, I respect your position on this, and I know that, again, I'm a big fan of Dr. Cantu and the money that we spent, but I'll go ahead and, are there more comments?
Mr. LaFoil?
I was about to amend, but if there's more discussion on it, go ahead.
No, let him talk, then Melinda.
A lot of the stuff I see in your Dr. Montoya would be more clout in the person asking if it was you or one of your head directors. Because you're going to put a person in here who they don't know, probably going to come from some other part, and they don't know him, it would be better for you to try it out to see if it'd go.
But then again, Mr. LaFoyle, remember, that's why a good comment here that I gave, the package of job descriptions in the cabinet, a lot of them already have more than they can handle. I mean, truly, they have a lot of stuff they're doing, and a lot of them don't have their background is not going over to Valero and sitting with a vice president asking for certain things, or their background is not sitting in Austin with a legislator saying, look, Judson needs the following, we need help in finances to help our teachers and our schools. I mean, I suppose we could train them to do that, pull them out of some of their assignments and say, look, now you're gonna, twice, I mean, the legislative session starts after, in January, basically. We could probably train somebody, but I don't know, I just think there's a better way. That's just, it's my
Well, the thing
opinion.
is, you're talking about, they don't have the training. Well, do you think this person that come in is gonna have all this training?
I think there would be some.
Or you
yes.
aren't gonna hire them?
I think there would be
Well,
somebody
I'll
out
hold you
there,
to that. If I look at
so
their
that,
resume,
yeah.
and they don't have that training in there, I'm gonna say, didn't we discuss this?
Yeah. No, and I respect that.
I'll vote for it on that,
So that,
thing.
Dr. Salinas?
Yes, just a couple of things I'm considering. I agree, this is a high salary, but at the same time, if we're probably going to get somebody from the business sector versus education, and they're used to higher salaries. But the other thing I'm considering is we're halfway through the year, and so, yes, the salary says 102,000, but it's not going to be 102,000. It's going to be prorated at their daily rate for the remainder of their contract. And then on the draft, it does state that I understand the position and employment are contingent upon the continued availability of local funds and is not guaranteed beyond the current year. But I also like what my fellow board members are saying about, can we talk to legal and, let's just say for next year, if this is approved, let this person know that your salary is going to be 73,000 or 70, I had done the math, 73,598, unless you raise X amount of dollars. So you raise, I'm gonna pretend it's gonna be $1 million. I don't know how much they raise, I would need that data. But if they raise $1 million, then we'll guarantee you the extra 29,000. Just something to look at or consider with legal, to where there's an incentive on, okay, we need you to produce
so it would be a combination of both.
and earn money for the
Salary
district,
and-
but the 102,000 is not gonna be in place unless
Yeah.
you raise this much money. Whatever what happened?
Well, that's what we want to find out.
Well, that's why
what
we'd
we'll
need to
find
find
out,
out, but for right now, this position is only for half a
Yeah,
year.
it's only for
And
half
it's
a year.
only contingent upon availability of
Yeah.
local
So
funds,
it's
and they
not
would
gonna
have to
be
sign
102,
that.
It'll probably be 50
So-
or whatever half of it is.
So those are just, yeah, okay, thanks.
Flores?
Dr. Montoya, is this a medium, the
Yeah,
102?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
it's
we've got,
midpoint.
we've got
It's
some wiggle
midpoint.
room there.
Yeah, it
you
can be
know.
less or higher.
It can
but-
be
but
less,
it's
or,
a
you know,
mid-
but
we use the
102
midpoint.
is a midpoint.
Yeah, we use that as a kind of so that when somebody says, where are we
So
gonna
when you're
do that?
applying, when you're putting your job description out there, you're saying the range is from, 80,000 to 120,000? I mean, just as
Yeah.
a numbers thrown out there.
Contingent upon
Yeah,
merit.
Yeah, contingent upon experience
upon
and,
What you said,
yeah.
correct.
Okay,
Anyone else? You have some, Mr. Salinas?
The only thing, we cannot say, if you raise $1 million. It started in 99, they can't even reach 900,000. So maybe like start with 100,000 within a year or something, then that
You
would
can put
be,
some
that would be okay.
parameter.
I'm pretty sure you would have to have some
Data.
data
Yeah,
there or
that was
something.
just an example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, I support this, and I see it kind of a little different. I mean, Dr. McCoy and I talked about this. I see this as our next way to create partnerships, okay? I mean, you heard me say it again, bring partnership. Why aren't we partnering with Rack Space? Whole Caterpillar, partner with Roosevelt, they have a diesel mechanic school. We need somebody to go out there in the community and make contacts with people. The other thing, the government relationships, okay? We're not a small district. Our budget's $228 million. We got 3,800 employees. We got to, if you throw in the state and the county in our jurisdictions, we have 9 jurisdictions. 9. We need somebody to get that by the tail so we know what they're thinking, and it will help us pass bonds too. And I kind of heard some of the same arguments when we hired the energy manager. Remember, those were on the board? People fought the energy manager tooth and nail. You know, and said, remember this? Said, oh, that's a waste, that's a waste, that's a waste, that's a waste. And look at the kind of check we got. This person's gave us, I don't know how many, we got a $300,000 check 1 year. Look what the energy man, what do we pay him, $85,000 a year, something like that? And I know the energy manager position has brought in $500,000, a year, energy savings. So I think this is just another evolution, another step in bringing Judson up to, where we should be. And there's people out there. There's people out there that are, sitting on some senator's staff up there or governor's staff that wants a pay raise, wants to come here and do something, because it's rough up there in Austin. There's people up there in Austin that want to come to do stuff like this. So I think we'll have a huge, huge stable of people applying for this. It's got a lot of jobs in there, but it needs to be a lot of jobs, because if we hire the right person, this is building blocks. What's good for the district in partnerships is going to roll over into fundraising for the foundation. I mean, they're both kind of together. They're both going to raise money for us and do things. But I think we're really missing a boat. When Roosevelt High School's got a diesel mechanic school, and whole Caterpillar hires every single mechanic, why aren't we doing stuff like that?
I brought that up many years
If they build the pipeline, we need 5,000 welders tomorrow. 5,000 welders tomorrow. Why don't we have a welding program? So anyway, I'll be quiet.
Dr.
Mr.
Montoya?
Do you have, I'm sorry, go right ahead. Hold on, Jose, I
On
forgot.
the draft, there are items that need to be looked at again because they are duplicated.
Okay. Well, yeah, we can rewrite that, and like I said, again, if the board approves it, we'll look at that, and then we'll post it, because it hasn't been posted yet, so.
Jose, you had a motion to amend or something?
No, I won't amend, but I will ask two questions for Dr. Montoya. If this passes today, are we going to put in those benchmarks in terms of allowing some evaluation of the position after this year to determine if and how we want to move forward? Can that be a commitment
Yeah,
that
we
we'll be
can
taking a look
write
at?
that. Like Renee says, we'll revisit, if there's duplicate areas, we need to clear that right away on the writing piece before we post, but we can add some of those components that you're alluding to.
Now,
So the answer is yes.
in a perfect world, we would have an opportunity to get legal counsel to give us feedback
Yeah.
on the aspect of adding incentives, or
What we
we,
may do is our draft first, and then send it to legal and let them see if we're okay with it, the wording, and are we allowed to do it that way, et cetera, but yeah, we can do that.
see, but when again, first two questions, if it passes, I mean, I think that's only going to have to come from you at that
Yes.
point, because
Yeah.
we're going to hold you to
Yeah, and we
ensuring
can
that
do
those.
that. We can
Now,
do
if it fails, now, are you going to move forward with the position as is with the salary, or what's going to be your step if it
We
fails?
have to go back and try to go find a lower level position just to run the Jeff piece. I mean, we have to get somebody over there. We have a sub, lady's doing okay, but we really need a person to get the whole picture and get it done, so.
Well, and at this point, it's volunteer-driven, right? You have committee members that have experience on the foundation. Even if it did pass, it would be, 30, 60, 90 days before it's even filled?
It would be at least a month, you're right, 20,
So-
30, and that's why I think Dr. Salinas had the point, even though it says 102, it's not even gonna be, probably gonna be half or even less than the half that's listed there.
Until the budget year comes.
Yeah,
Well,
until the budget year comes.
There's a salary.com, and a lot of the aspects of this position do take the director of development type of roles that nonprofit directors take, and their salaries do command anywhere from 80 up to 100. So you're not totally out of the
Yeah, right
ballpark,
there.
but those positions actually supervise employees.
Mm-hmm.
They have benchmarks that are in place. I mean, there's a,
No, the benchmarks, I think we can add, but to be honest, I don't see them massive supervision of groups of people. They're gonna be out doing stuff in the
and
field.
is this going to be a position without any employees to supervise?
At this point, yes. I mean, they may get a secretary later, but we've used secretaries to cover 2 or 3 of the director positions already, so
Well,
it'll
and-
continue that way.
One thing I will commend to Ms. Reyna in doing is she would bring in interns
Yeah.
to help
Yeah,
facilitate
she had a good
things.
connection. with
And that
some
was a
younger-
good process in itself, but, I mean, I imagine if she had a staff, that how much more she could have done in terms of reaching things. I still remain concerned about the salary, but like I said, if it passes, I'll look to you to mediate that a little bit.
Anybody else? Any more comments? Ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I with reservations.
Any opposed? Mr. Mencius was opposed, Rose. Motion carries. Anything else? We will see you, hopefully not Wednesday
Hopefully not
night.
Wednesday, but we'll let you know.
We're
in a few hours.
adjourned at 8:40. Thank you all.